Howdy hammockers, it's Kristen and Cal with YOBOgear, here to show you how to get Hive Hammock Stand ready for weather with a great Rainfly setup. Our Hive stand allowed us to choose this beautiful campsite at the edge of a canyon. A tarp will provide us shade from the sun, shelter from the wind, and privacy. The ground was quite literally solid rock, so our setup today is going to be stakeless as well as treeless. The tarp in this video is the magnificent DutchWare Hive Tarp, a 13-foot winter tarp designed specifically for the Hive stand by our friends at DutchWare. This Rainfly fits beautifully over our two hammocks and gives us a nice cozy setup. We have seen all sizes of Rainflies work on Hive, from 11 foot to 16 foot long. Remember, every tarp setup will be a little different. This is not a cookie-cutter process. Our goal with this video is to give you the basic gist of it and give you plenty of space to improvise. We'll show you both storm mode and porch mode in this video. To set up your tarp, you will need to provide your own tie-out cordage. We will delve into some options for this later. We'll begin by anchoring down the Hive stand. For our stakeless treeless setup today, Cal has opted for this boulder stick combo. I would have helped him carry them over, but I was making sure to carefully document this entire process. You're welcome, folks. Even just a tiny breeze can turn a lightweight hammock stand into a parachute if it has hammocks or a Rainfly on it. The best option is to anchor the stand down before any fabric is anywhere near the stand. You could use stakes in the ground or heavy objects like we did here. Just run a length of your choice of cordage straight down from the Hive hub. Now we are ensured our beloved Hive stand will not sail over the edge of this cliff and into the river below. Next, let's have a close-up look at the Hive Tarp extension poles. As with all things Yobo, we have provided you options. You can see there are 3 different height settings on the tarp extension pole, from the very tip to the lowest keyhole. You can select whichever height works best for you and your situation. Here's a little trick for anyone who is worried about losing the small cable loops. Affix a piece of cordage to the loop, ensuring that it cannot fall down into the pole. Also, know that the cable loops are not vital to your tarp setup. A piece of cordage with a knot tied in it will perform the same function. Time to place the tarp extension poles into the hubs. Insert into the hole in the center of the hub. Now everyone has their own personal preference for how to attach their Rainfly to the tarp extension pole. Some prefer elastic shock cordage, some choose an external ridgeline. We used these 3-foot lengths of cordage and attached a small carabiner along with a slide lock to them. This will allow for easy tightening and adjustments during setup. Select which height you wish to use on the tarp extension pole and hook up your cordage. A shorter person could attach the tarp cordage to the extension pole first and then install it. Next, for ease in this slightly breezy weather, we got our corner tie-outs ready too. Use your favorite cordage and adjustment technique here. This is a great application for some Dutch bling or a taut line hitch. We will be using our same cords with the slide lock and small carabiner. Here, we're using 4 and placing one at each corner of the stand. Cal is attaching each one to a cable loop on the leg. Since we anchored the stand down so well with the boulders, we did not have to stake the tie-outs into the ground. In fact, we couldn't because, again, we're camped on solid rock here. Finally, it's time to take out the tarp. We will show you storm mode setup first. The rocks in this location are quite sharp, so Cal is careful not to let it touch the ground. This Hive tarp comes with an internal ridgeline. We found the D-ring on the very end of it and attached it to our tarp cordage that we previously installed in the tarp extension pole. Then, we walked straight down the center of the hive to do the same thing on the other side. Short person option, remove the tarp pole, connect your tarp, then place the tarp pole back in the hub. Time to attach the tie-outs. On this tarp, there are 2 D-rings in each corner. The tie-out attaches to the outside D-ring. We'll use the inside D-ring for the pole mods in a minute. Do the same at all 4 corners. Remember, if your tarp can't go anywhere, your hammock stand can't go anywhere. Let's step underneath the Rainfly to see what's going on inside. Here is the internal ridgeline. On this model, there are 2 elastic prusik loops, which are there to hold the internal pole mods in place. We love using internal pole mods because they create so much more space inside the tarp. Once Cal has extended the pole mod, he feeds it through the prusik loop on one end of the stand. The ends of the pole mod insert into the D-rings in the corners of the tarp. Here he is fastening the doors closed to keep everything in place. Now he will do the same thing with the other pole mod on the other end. Make sure your tarp is cinched down enough to keep the diagonal line from rubbing on it. If you are anticipating high winds, you may wish to wrap a small piece of electrical tape around the diagonal line to prevent abrasion on your tarp. Here is what it looks like inside. Even with the doors closed, it is very spacious. Time to hang the hammocks. Use whatever hammock suspension you choose. Since we are doing a double hammock setup, we will be using the zippered slots built into this tarp. Feed the suspension through the slots and zip them closed to really keep out the weather. Here's what it looks like with the doors closed. And here's what it looks like inside. So cozy. If you wanted to bring your tarp closer to the ground, you could either lower the stand using the height adjustments in the legs, or drop your tarp attachments to the lower option on the tarp extension pole. Now for porch mode. On a beautiful warm day like today, it isn't necessary to really batten down the tarp. Sometimes a little shade and light shelter is all you need. For porch mode on Hive, we move the tarp from underneath the ridge poles to on top of the ridge poles. We'll start by removing the hammock suspensions from the zippered slots and hanging them back on the hub. Then we undid all the corner tie-outs. Cal's goal was to switch to porch mode without removing the entire tarp from the stand, and he was successful. You can't call yourself a hammocker if you're not a tiny bit lazy, right? He just undid one side of the tarp, fed it over the top of the Hive center cable, and reattached. Then he fastened all the corner tie-outs again and tightened them up. Now we have a beautiful, breezy place in the shade to relax. This view is absolutely incredible, so porch mode is the perfect option. We hope this video was helpful. If you haven't already, join us in our private Facebook group, the Yobo Neighborhood, to see all the different tarp setups our customers have come up with. Thank you to all our wonderful customers who share their ideas and experiences with Yobo products. See you next time, and happy hammocking from Cal, Kristen, and Ginger.